So once again, a very, very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the first ever FADA Finance and Insurance Summit 2022. Request all of you to please keep your cell phones on silent mode if not done so already. We'll appreciate as little movement as possible during the sessions are in progress so that we do not disturb the ongoings of the summit. Now, before we move any further, your safety is of utmost priority, so we'd like all of you to please take a look at the safety video. Can we have the video, please?
Dear guests, we request you to pay attention to the following important safety announcements. Keep your mobile phones on silent mode. Take a moment to locate the nearest emergency exit in the venue. Locate the closest firefighting equipment. Please maintain safe distance from all event equipment like lights, truss, sound, LED and cameras. Remember that no fire or security drills are scheduled today. So if you hear the alarm, exit the venue from the closest exit. Do not smoke in the venue unless it is marked as a smoking zone. Do not panic in emergency situations. Remain calm and follow the instructions. Have a safe event.
Thank you so much for your kind attention. I request all of you to please stand up for the national anthem.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm extremely honored to welcome you all to the first ever FADA Finance and Insurance Summit 2022. Thank you for joining us here today. Today's agenda will cover crucial industry topics such as continued supply chain constraints, high used value vehicles, rising interest rates, increased cost of funds, revised MISP guidelines, and much more. So there's a lot in store for all of us here today. My name is Khyati Kawa, and I will be your host for the day and the exciting award ceremony that is to follow this evening. I would like to take this opportunity and thank all of you for taking out time and being present here at this summit. Well, we all know about FADA, don't we? But let me give you a quick gist about it. Founded in 1964, the Federation of Automobile Dealers Association is the apex national body of the automobile retail industry in India, engaged in the sale, service, and spares of 2- and 3-wheelers, passenger cars, UVs, commercial vehicles including buses and trucks, and tractors. FADA India represents over 15,000 automobile dealers, having 26,500 dealerships, including multiple associations of automobile dealers at the regional, state, and city levels, representing the entire auto retail industry. Together, we employ 4 million people at dealerships and service centers. That deserves a big round of applause, doesn't it? Thank you so much. Today, we are here with one such endeavor to bring the industry together, the FADA Finance and Insurance Summit 2022. And we would like to begin by thanking our partners for their support, our title partner, Kuwai, Platinum partner, Yes Bank, Silver partner, HDFC Ergo and Kotak Mahindra Prime. Can we have the partner showcase AV, please?
In the digital age, individuals and business expect their needs to be served at lightning speed, especially their banking needs. Customers expect banks to sanction auto loans instantly. Say hello to Yes Robot, a platform that sanctions auto loans within minutes for both Yes Bank and non-Yes Bank customers. Hard to believe? Well, Yes Robot's powerful AI swiftly sanctions customers' loan through intuitive business rule engines powered with credit bureau score. The customer only has to enter a few basic details like name, mobile number, basic demographics, details of the vehicle, and PAN. Voila! The sanction letter is emailed to the customer. Incredible, isn't it? This simply means on-spot sanction letter with no paperwork. Anyone can apply at any time from any device. That's it. Isn't that super quick and convenient? Yes Robot, the game changer.
In India, for every 1,000, only 22 people have cars. 70% of first-time car buyers in India buy used cars. When buying used cars, there is a huge disconnect between the customer, car dealer and the lender due to challenges like non-certified cars, limited lender options, longer loan processing timelines, physical documentation, submission of numerous documents, which has made the process of buying a used car unorganized and less transparent. We are here to make the process easy for you. Kuwai, an instant lending platform at the point of sale and search. Kuwai provides access to automotive credit with a wider selection of choices instantly in a paperless environment. Kuwai means finance. We facilitate end-to-end digital car loan approval, processing, and disbursal. At Kuwai, we have digitized each step of the loan process by using click and drive technology, connecting credit-worthy borrowers to lenders. Backed by a team of multidisciplinary professionals with in-depth knowledge and expertise, Kuwai has its presence in 500+ locations across India with Volkswagen Finance as its major stakeholder. Kuwai customers get instant loan offers from multiple lenders in a paperless environment and loan disbursal within 24 hours. Lenders get access to thousands of dealers or direct selling agent networks with thousands of certified cars with digital documentation and integration with lender loan origination system. Kuwai helps dealers sell more cars fast at the point of sale and search. Platforms offered by Kuwai include Prime, Class, Elite and Car Bureau. Kuwai Prime acts as a point of sale for dealers with physical inventory. Kuwai Class offers point of search AP suite for online dealers and marketplaces. Kuwai Elite functions as a point of selection for captive lenders. And Kuwai Car Bureau provides car inspection, pricing, and paper transfer. With Kuwai, customers avail loan digitally, dealers process loan digitally, and lenders grow loans digitally. Get the Kuwai app now for instant access and to buy retail-worthy cars.
Thank you so much. Thank you to our partners for their support for this event. Ladies and gentlemen, as our Indian tradition says, any good opportune event or evening should begin by the name of the Lord. So we'd like to begin this event as well by taking the name of the Lord by lighting the lamp. I'd like to request our guest of honor, Mr. Ramesh Iyer, Chairman FIDC and Vice Chairman and Managing Director Mahindra Finance, Mr. Suresh Agarwal, Managing Director and CEO Kotak Mahindra General Insurance Company Limited, Mr. Rajan Pental, Senior Group Presidential and Global Head Retail Banking Yes Bank, Mr. B. Ganesh Kumar, CEO and Founder, Kuwai Technology Services Private Limited, Mr. Vinkesh Gulati, President, FADA, Mr. Manish Raj Singhania, Vice President, Mr. C.S. Vigneshwar, Secretary, Mr. Sai Giridhar, Treasurer, FADA, and Mr. Saharsh Damani, CEO, FADA, along with Mr. Amarjay Sheth, State Chairperson, Maharashtra, to come forward for the light lamp.
गणदेवताय गणाध्यक्षाय धीमहि गुणशरीराय गुणमण्डिताय गुणेशानाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि
एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, now that we have the blessing of the Lord, let's begin with our inaugural session. And I'd like to request Mr. Singh, Mr. Iyer, Mr. Agarwal, Mr. Pentel, Mr. Kumar, Mr. Gulati, Mr. Singhania, and Mr. Seth to please take their seats on the dais, please. Yes, very warm welcome, gentlemen. I'd like you to please take your seats on the dais. A very warm welcome to you. We will be joined by our guest of honor, Mr. Ashish Kumar Singh, Additional Chief Secretary, Transport and Ports, Government of Maharashtra, in a short while. But looking at the paucity of time, we'd like to begin the inaugural session. And to do so, may I please invite on stage Shri Vinkesh Gulati, President FADA, to start with the presidential address. Amidst your huge round of applause, let's welcome him on the podium.
Good evening, everybody. And there's nothing new. At dealerships, always we have to firefight at the last moment. And we are doing a similar thing here. Ashish ji is a bit delayed. So we have started so that at least our day goes on time, because we have the awards later also. So sorry for a bit of delay of 50 minutes now. And we have done a small change. So I have requested Amar Bhai to speak when Ashish ji is here, so that at least Maharashtra issues can be discussed in front of him. So welcome each one of you. So welcome each one of you to this first ever FADA Finance and Insurance Summit. We have been talking about this since, I feel, 4 years. Ashish Bhai was president, and we were talking that the financial hub of country should have some event doing like this, but it was constantly being delayed, and then COVID came, and obviously now we are here. I feel after 4 years, we did the awards 4 years back in Taj Lands End, so we are here after 4 years. So better late than never, and I feel with Amar Bhai's support, we'll have this every year from now onwards. So welcome you all. I welcome and thanks the dignitary on the dais, Ramesh Iyer ji, who has always been a supporter to FADA and dealer fraternity, obviously with the role of Mahindra Finance, and personally also because he had given us always good future-looking speeches always when we have met. So thank you very much. Mr. Ganesh Kumar Kuwai, thank you very much, sir, for supporting the event. Obviously, the event correlates with the thing your company is in, and I feel we will benefit with this relationship going further. Rajan Boss, I feel nothing new. We have been in touch with Rajan Boss, around 10 years more, 20 years. So, and I don't remember what last event we had been without Rajan Boss in amidst us. So thank you for always being there for us and being a guiding stone. And very frankly, I feel most of you know about FADA a lot, but still as a duty of being president, it is that for every event I have to repeat what I am doing and what FADA is doing. You can feel it's a bit of क्या हिंदी में कहते हैं ना अपने मुंह मियाँ मिट्ठू, but this is my duty to do it, so I have to do it every time I am on the stage. So welcome to this event. So you all know FADA is the apex body. We represent everything from, I normally say anything to do with tires and motors in it, we represent. And lately we have started also getting a lot of EV dealers as members, which wasn't there before. No doubt there are some issues why this is happening with the electric vehicle things and all, and the dealers are needing support handling them. And we are happy to say that the disruption what the electric vehicle has seen has got a lot of small entrepreneurs in this dealership fraternity. So obviously there are legacy dealers also who are taking, but there are a lot of new persons also joining this dealership bandwagon, which is a good for for this industry, because as the number grows, we also have better things forward. So FADA has always been there for the dealerships and the auto retail since ages. We have become relevant to the industry since what, around 8-10 years. I feel 2010 when Nikunji became the president, he started outshining. There had been real good pre-presidents also who did wonders, but I feel that that time social media wasn't very active, so nobody knew what FADA was doing. Today, even as we talk, I feel there will be somebody who will be tweeting that what I was speaking. So that's the benefit of social media, what even FADA is getting on that score. So the BS4 fight was one where when FADA actually understood the strength what we had in the dealers put in with us. So the unity we dealers have, and the way Supreme Court handled us, where they weren't even talking about big OEMs of accepting their pleas for against government on BS4. Our plea was accepted not even once, I feel 4 times. Lately, what Delhi order we got in 21 September, October. We are still fighting for some Tamil Nadu and Chhattisgarh and 2-3 places again. There's still a lot of BS4 vehicles unregistered for that we are still fighting. So that was when we actually realized that the strength of unity, what FADA is today. And thanks to the dealer friends, because whatever FADA is because of them. So, and then again, the inclusion of MSME, which happened, no doubt Ashish Bhai had put a lot of effort in that, and the dealership fraternity, at least the smaller dealership fraternity, because we have a limit of 250 crores, overall benefited a lot being enrolled as an MSME. There are a lot of things which is happening in FADA, and we are working on a model dealer agreement, we are working on an Auto Dealer Protection Act. No doubt these are the things which will take time. It's not an overnight affair, but yes, we'll achieve those things in coming times. Happy to say that we have started a two-wheeler vertical, because normally whenever the media guys are there, whenever they talked about auto, they only thought auto means cars. And what is commercial, what is two-wheeler, what is three-wheeler, they never thought. So since FADA became active, we started giving category-wise numbers. And that is where when everybody came to know there are other categories also in this life, which are also said as auto. So to start with it, like 70% of the retail volume comes from two-wheeler. So we started with a two-wheeler vertical. And I hope in another 2-3 years, we'll have some wonders doing them. They could be a parallel organization running with under FADA where they can work strongly. We had that the first two-wheeler conclave in Delhi, 29th of last month, and it was a very successful event where a lot of dealers had a very good takeaway. No doubt the subject was electrification, because two-wheeler as of today is disrupted by EV hype. We have also just launched Gen X, and I feel being in the verge where FADA has some experienced hand like Nikunji, Kailashji, and youngsters, I'll not say youngsters, but in middle somewhere, me, Sai, Ashish, Vignesh. So we could understand what's the generation change of dealership is affecting in the market. Uh, so obviously, looking at the way how issues are happening with the Gen X, they are thinking on auto retail, they are thinking on the, not the right word, but maybe they feel frustrated in the dealership when they don't find anything where they can do something creative, because as of today we are bounded by the regulation of government, manufacturers, and a lot of other things, even customers demand. So uh, seeing their issues, we have formed this group, and I feel Sachin is somewhere here. So Sachin Shah will be heading that Gen X vertical, and Rishabh Sanghi, can I ask you both to stand up so that at least the dealers know? Okay, so you are already a backbencher? That's great. So can I have claps for them? And I'll request your best wishes for them, because they have a very, very hard task getting Gen X involved, first in FADA, then in their dealerships also. Because I'm getting feelers, not a lot of people, not of your youngsters, want to join this dealership. Thank you, Sachin and Rishabh. So they'll be having their first meeting on 11th of this month. Anybody, any dealer who wants his child to get in, we have a process that entry age is nothing, but the max age he can join is 35 years. So anybody is interested for his kid, they can approach anybody, the office bearers, Shindra ma'am, or anybody from FADA, and they can join. I feel the working what Sachin is planning is to do is more to do on peer-to-peer learning, and motivating them to join the dealership and disrupt how dealership work for. We are also working on getting the women active in FADA. No doubt there are a lot of dealerships where women are active. No doubt as a pure dealer, there are some dealers also where there are pure dealers, but most of them, they are active in finance segment or maybe the HR or somewhere. So we are trying to pull them through, and for that I'm thankful to Garima Mishra ji. Garima ma'am, can you please also stand? So can I have claps for her also? So we are trying to activate women, and Garima ma'am has been good enough to accept this role to get this. I know this is a hard task, but yes, I'm sure she can. So guys, not long, but today we have this, obviously this was what Amar Bhai had to speak, but as we have started, so we have a big uh, discussion points. There are what, one, three panels, and I'm sure you will have a big takeaway from today. And this is just a start. We as dealers, we have always, not always, I feel since 5 years, have understood the additional revenue we earn from insurance and finance. So it's high time we are seeing competition in insurance finance sector also in a new vehicle retail. So by today evening, maybe you will have a direction of how to go ahead or how to see. And slowly and steadily, when this next summit we enter, we'll be able to give you better ways how to earn more, how to manage more, how to cross sell. So hoping to have a successful event today, because the hall is full. So for me the event is successful already, but the event will be actually be successful if at least you all take one or two big takeaway which you can implement at your dealership and get some benefit out of it, maybe monetarily, maybe efficiency improvement or whatever. So thanks everybody to join. There are a lot of dealers who have come across country from south, from even northeast. I'm thankful to them for joining this and supporting FADA as ever. I'm thankful to the guests of honor on the dais and the speakers who have already come here for the day. It really feels nice when people do come forward to support our fraternity, and also suggest how to improve. And that is what this life is. We have to improve every day, or else slowly and steadily it will not be, we may be not important to the industry. So thank you everybody. Thanks for coming, and I'm really sorry for the delay today. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Gulati. which is why we're going to move forward and welcome our first guest of honor for his address. Please join me in welcoming and inviting Mr. B. Ganesh Kumar, CEO and founder, Kuwai Technology Services Private Limited. Can we have a big hand for him?
Yeah, good afternoon to everyone. I would like to first thank FADA for giving me this opportunity to address this August gathering, and also welcome to all dignitaries on the stage and in the conference room. I represent Kuwai. It's an online vehicle financing marketplace for both new cars and used cars, and we are a platform which connects customers, dealers, cars to lenders. So it's a seamless experience. So why I thought I should speak about this is, as a keynote, is like, what is the impact of digitalization in auto finance? Currently, we are only in car finance, both new and used. We are not in two-wheeler, CV, tractor. So we have done in-depth research, understanding. We are a 5-year-old company, even though still we call ourselves as a startup. It started in 2017, and we have done a good business. So I think so I can give few inputs. As Mr. Vinkesh said, there should be few takeaways for the audience on the future trends. So my thing would be on what is the impact of digitalization on the auto finance or the car finance. First thing is, what you can take away is it will increase your in-house finance penetration. Second thing, it will help you sell cars faster. Third thing is you can sell more cars. And the fourth thing is it will grow your business, and eventually it will make more profits, because finance income plus more conversions. So as you sell more cars, you grow more and you make more profits. So the key takeaway is in-house finance penetration and growth. If you want to sell more cars, digitalization will surely help you. And what are the trends in digitalization which is happening in auto finance? 3 key things. One is access to credit. So there is a big difference between a new car finance and a used car finance. We all know new car is 75% penetration, used car is less than 20% penetration. So we are addressing both. As you know, we are a majority held subsidiary of Volkswagen Group. So we work with many Volkswagen Group dealers, Volkswagen, Skoda, Audi, and multiple dealers. And every dealer has also multiple other franchisee dealership. So we work with 19 brands on new cars, not only with the Volkswagen brands. Plus used cars, we work with more than 5,000 dealers across India at 5,000 plus locations. So few trends what I spotted over the last 5 years. The first trend is, as I said, access to credit. New car is different. There are lenders waiting to lend. Customer profile is good. But is the in-house finance penetration increasing in new cars? It stops at 50% or 55% or 60%. Balance goes outside. As the customer gets loan, or he buys through cash, or he arranges his own finance and comes. So how other matured markets operate, where the finance penetration is close to 95% or 99%, where dealers make more money from finance and insurance than what they retail. So how can we bring this into new cars in India? How to help dealers increase in-house finance penetration? So one is traditional financing, where there are lenders, the customers come, you give the file to lenders, they disburse. Then multiple concepts which we are introducing is like buyer payer, dealer financing. We are supporting many of our dealers to finance customers by giving them the technology, by knowing on the spot if this customer will pay, not pay, he is capable of repayment or non-repayment. So that's the support, because it will increase minimum 10 to 15% of your in-house penetration. It's a buyer payer concept, which is very prevalent across the globe. India, many dealers are doing, who has the financial capability or have their own NBFCs, they start doing it. But it has to pick up. For that, technology support is required. Without technology, dealer cannot take a call. If he knows through some reference, he will take a call, or by some kinds of field investigation, they do something. But is there a technology to support buyer payer? We have bought in that technology. We are going to support dealers to increase finance penetration. This is a major trend, access to credit in the new cars. If you take on the used car side, it's very poor. Everyone wants to finance only the top range customers. There are few lenders who go in depth and fund. But it's, even though the penetration is only 20%, whereas the market is growing now, it's around 5 million used cars, and the penetration is less than 1 million cars, finance penetration. So how to increase finance penetration? So what is stopping us to increase finance penetration in used cars? Mainly is trust deficit between the buyer and the seller. We don't know what is happening inside the RTO office. Whether the document is going inside, whether the name transfer will happen, whether the hypothecation will happen. No one knows what's going to happen there. So we have built an entire technology platform to handle the PDD. Out of 1,400 RTOs in India, we have integrated close to 900 plus RTOs. So when a document gets inside, we know it is inside, under process. How you track an Amazon courier, we track your document. That way the trust deficit is taken out. So the financiers can lend on used cars more comfortably than just believing on a gut, this guy will pay or he will not pay. One is on all their metrics, they have scorecards, multiple other stuff. But eventually it is funding a car. Anything goes bad, you have to bring the car back. So that way, access to credit is one is taking the trust deficit. We cannot do much on small ticket loans, 1 lakh loan, 2 lakh loan, people pay in cash. That's ruled out. And the third thing is on the rural side, how to penetrate more rural. Because everyone works on scorecard, everyone works on the bureau, 700 plus, 750 plus. Very few lenders work below 600. How to know about whether he will pay or not, if he's new to bank, existing to bank. There are a lot of products available with multiple lenders. But if you see, top selling products are 90%. All the other products only contribute less than 10%. So we have built close to 1,000 plus products. Every customer profile, if he's a credit-worthy borrower, we have a lender for it. So that's the second trend. Second trend is we have to give choices of multiple lenders to the dealers. They cannot work with 1 or 2 lenders or 3 lenders. So it's because lenders also are selling financial products. So we have developed more than 1,000 products. We deal with 25 plus lenders, both in used and new cars. And these lenders have helped us create unique products. So any customer who comes and he is credit worthy, we find him, even though he doesn't have a track, he is new to bank, he's just started his first job, I have a lender who can fund. And the bandwidth is being, I have a lender who can fund from 10% to 25%. It's all the risk ability of the lender. Maybe he will work on the LTV or on the rates or on his collection efficiency. It's all that. Rural is more on how you collect the money. It's how you manage your risk is there and lending. This is the second major trend on access to, one is access to credit and second is greater selection of choices. And the third biggest trend is on-demand generation. What do you mean by on-demand generation? We all know, all talk about, we all saw, we did and a co-partner also did on paperless journey, automated credit decisioning. So since we work with multiple lenders, I know the biggest pain point the lenders are not able to still come out is to take a automated credit decision. Maybe at 750 plus CIBIL, 800, or the prime customer who anyway will get a loan, he will get an automated decision. And the paperless journey, where if in new cars it's happening, used cars it's still not happening. So these two things we are addressing. How to make it paperless and how to make it instant, automated credit decisioning. These are the solutions what we have built and implemented over the last 5 years. We have disbursed close to 3,000 crore loans, mostly used cars. It is 70-30, 70% is used cars and 30% is new cars because Volkswagen came 2 years late when we started. So that's the third trend. So on-demand transaction means you have a credit card, you go to a shop, you select a TV or a fridge, you just swipe your card and you ask it to deliver to your home. That experience is what we are trying to create. We are very near to it. Many of the lenders with whom we are working are closely coordinating with us to give this journey to a customer, to a dealer, so that dealers sell more cars. Eventually, we are working for the dealers. It's at the point of sale. When a customer walks into a dealership, he selects a car and he wants a loan on the car. He should get the car then and there. What all is required, we facilitate. So, the bottom line is, we help dealers grow their business and run it profitably. And what does Kuvai mean? Kuvai is a Tamil word. Kuvai means finance. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kumar. Moving forward, I'd like to welcome our guest of honor, Mr. Rajan Pental, Senior Group President and Global Head, Retail Banking, Yes Bank. Amidst a huge round of applause, let's welcome him on the podium. Over to you, sir.
Good evening. What a great pleasure, first of all, to physically being in a position to meet all of you. Many of you, of course, I've been able to catch up in the last few months in your respective cities or dealerships, but to be able to meet all in a common forum, this has been after quite a while. Last time we were able to attend a physical meeting of FADA was in Jaipur, I think a month or two back. It's always a pleasure to stand here. One, of course, to meet up with the friends, and more importantly, also to understand what should be the next journey of the bank. There is so much of learning around in the room with different experiences, different expectations, and also the innovative ideas which dealers across the country use in innovating their business. Well, I would like to start first as a banker and then as a retail banker. So I would like to cover both the scenarios as to how the dealership business, where does it stand, and what is the way forward for the business. So whenever we look at the demand scenario today, it really looks very good. Margins are good. Everything is looking very well. And whenever in automobile, supply is a problem, is I think the happiest situation for the dealership, because there is no inventory issues and there are not many issues related to that. It's very important to understand before the pandemic, where did the industry stand? And I think the biggest lesson in the industry in the automobile industry came at least 3 to 4 years just before the pandemic. And that was the time when across the country and across product lines, because auto, as you rightly said, is not just cars, it is also two-wheelers, commercial vehicles, and whatnot, saw the exit of some of the largest names in the industry. It did see that wherever there was an irrational exuberance, wherever there was an disproportionate expansion plan, or wherever there was a disproportionate push to carry these stocks, it really ended up in a lot of bad situation for the industry. And that phase, that was the phase when FADA came forward and started talking to the banks as a very responsible body to say what needs to be done and what does not need to be done. And during that time, in fact, there were various committees, small subcommittees of FADA or the key dealers who came forward for the rescue of some of the ailing dealers. And then came a complete halt, wherein that entire discussion also came to a halt, and the pandemic started with a complete closure. After the closure has happened, the industry has again opened up, and some due to chip and some due to pent-up demand. We are seeing that for every rolled out body, steel body, there is a customer, right? But please very, very important. And I'm sorry if if I sound a little conservative on this, but as a prudent banker, I want to highlight this, that maybe this is again a very temporary phase. And what we have learnt in the last 7 to 8 years, those are the lessons which are always to be kept intact. And whether it is your credit prudence, whether it is your inventories, whether it is your repayment plans, collaterals, everything whatever we have learnt in the last 7 to 8 years is actually very, very important and relevant for us to take forward. So this is one of the key takeaways. Please work on the efficiency, work on the prudence of your business, look at your return on your investments in a very prudent manner, and make your business absolutely sharp and sparkling always. The good part is that we have also seen during this period maybe a little bit of control from the government side also. The regulator also has been considerate in terms of controlling the interest rates in the last couple of months or a year or so, which has also created a demand, right? So supply, demand, interest rate as a catalyst to further boost it. These have been very favorable situations. Where we stand today, India still looks to be extremely sharp nation across the globe. We still seem to be economy which is growing at a rapid pace, and there is no reason not to believe that this economy will continue to grow at a rapid pace, which means that the demand, the living standards of people will also upgrade, and with that the demand for automobile is bound to rise. How much are we prepared for a very mutated situation, and with the increase in the demand is something which we all have to look up and capacitize ourselves. Some of the key things which are important. Now the dealership is actually covered under a MSME segment, and if you see the most of the thrust for India's next level of growth will come from the MSME. So if India is aspiring for 5 trillion economy, a large part of that economy is going to come from the MSME, and automobile being one of the largest player in that segment, the largest employer in that segment, has to play a more responsible part of the entire value chain. So this is not only a trading business anymore. It is much more than that. Here, looking at this landscape, what is important is that we keep our balance sheet strong. We look at the collateralized opportunity within the balance sheets, because that is going to be the key thing. After the banks have burned their fingers, obviously they are more careful in lending. The regulator is more stringent than ever in terms of looking at the exposure what the banks are taking, and hence it's very important to keep the balance sheets very clean, because that rating and the capacity in the balance sheet and the collateral attached is going to decide the pricing on the inventory funding. And hence my request to each one of you is that do invest in a professional CFO for your organization who can keep the financial prudence within the setup. That is extremely important. Be extremely compliant. There are large number of PEs, there are large number of investors who are looking at entering into the automobile sector. And the large dealerships, the dealerships who have a spread around in their network or in the product depth, are the ones who would be very keenly looked at. But the prime thing is the financial prudence, what you are maintaining, how you are maintaining your records. The second piece is that while the dealership has been run over always, from a perspective of the property price enhancement, and also on the various avenues on which are the subunits of the capsules of that profitability what we talk about. The fact remains that each one of them, if you look at in the last 5 years, have undergone a change. The insurance business, the oil, the service, the parts, the finance, the insurance. In fact, each one of them either have gone through a regulatory hurdle or have gone through a complete business model change. Right? So this is one model which has been most disrupted. The entire value chain of dealership has actually gone through a lot of disruption across the value chains which are the subparts of this business. The new norm clearly is to break away from the orthodox model of running a dealership to a new age way of looking at the dealership. This is no more a composite profitability of your entire network. It is a point to look at each and every unit what you have opened to become a profit center. And within that, each of the opportunity, each of the profitability capsule which I spoke about has also to become a profitable capsule for you. And some of the dealers do it beautifully well. And I always share with the president that why can't such dealers, kind of cross-pollinate their best practices, because this will be a great learning for all. Especially, in fact, what was music to the ears was listening to the fact that there is going to be a Gen X program, which is going to be a very very composite kind of a program. I would just like to leave a line there. Yes Bank would be very, very keen to become a part of this program. And we would like to partner with you very intensely. If required, we would like to offer a course within bank, and we can also jointly create a program around best of the institutes around the country, around enabling the next generation to come forward and take the controls of the dealership. So let them be ready for that business before they come into it. Let them not be induced in the business or involved in the business before they are ready for it. We will help you in preparing them for entering the business. This can really have a big impact, but it will be wonderful for us. It will be a good experience for us, and we will co-create sub-programs around it. Coming back to the third point, which is extremely important, is today a customer is neither waiting for a digital platform, nor is waiting for the vehicle to come, nor is waiting for you to sell the insurance, nor is waiting for you to sell finance. He's actually, or to sell accessories. He's actually not waiting for anything. He has completely shopped around, and there are thousands of digital options which are available, which are giving them the service, right? So there is a good chance that a customer might buy a car from you, accessories from somewhere else, finance from somewhere else, and insurance from somewhere else. And that brings to a concept, which is that what is the platform you as a dealer has adopted. So it's not a matter of the facilities being available at the dealership. I think what is important to understand, and this is not just dealership at all, what we are talking about. This is around banks, around insurance company, any service industry has to be providing a comfort to a customer across the value chain and not in parts. It is not possible that you open a big showroom to attract the customer, and when he comes to the showroom, you try to sell him the service in parts. By doing this, you are actually parting away with the opportunity which is available to you. And this is something which the next gen should actually take it as a first project. Every dealer which I visited in the last many years has some or the other platform available, whether it is in-house, bought, created, co-created, whatever format, but there is a platform being available. The time has come to make not only your business agile, efficient, forward-looking. The time has come when we are moving in a digital era, when we have actually already moved into a digital era. How evolved is your system? And you have to come and demand each of your partner for integration into your system, then you integrating into their system, right? So, I remember a couple of years back, we created a platform as a bank wherein we said that, your dealership can sit on my platform. And what will happen is your customer will come, rest, I will do everything and come back to you. Why? Why should there not be a demand to say that it will remain A to Z dealership, enterprise, whatever it is, and here you come, you please be embedded, you take a back seat, let my brand take a front seat. I think that is the need, that is the level of efficiencies what we have to create. And some of the dealerships are doing it, let me also tell you, in the same breath, right? So one is let the customer feel you as a dealer for end-to-end process and not parts of the process. This is, I think, one of the most important thing. Second thing is your entire flow of money happening at the dealership is also actually being handled in parts. So there is a collection happening from somewhere else, there is disbursal happening on somewhere else. So this is actually happening in a very disjointed platform. And this is, I'm talking about 90% of the dealerships. Why should you not have a complete integrated platform when your all transactions are flowing on one platform, right? So while we talk of efficiency, but we do not talk of the technology efficiency or the digital efficiency being created. And that is, I think, one of the biggest requirement if the automobile dealerships have to upgrade. You have 10 dealerships and you are looking at each one of them as a profit center, but at an integrated level and at a sub dealership level or at a small dealership level or at a large your hub dealership level, how the entire flow of money is actually happening is very, very important for you people to take a control, take a complete charge. With the economy growing, with the geographies growing, with the road infrastructure growing, there are enough and more opportunities for automobile sector to take the growth disproportionate to the GDP growth, to the overall growth of the economy. Because apart from the factors which are governing economy, there is also the infrastructure making the inroads into the markets. So whether those are rural, semi-rural or whatever, but there are inroads happening. How are we ready to be able to do business at location D where I am sitting at A without losing my controls? And this control is what I am talking of as a digital or a technology control. So we would be extremely happy, and when I said we, meaning Yes Bank and FADA core committees, would be very happy to create knowledge sessions around it, to work with you closely as how we can help you to get into the next level of efficiency, right? Please understand, this model has completely undergone on a change on all the parameters what we discussed. Let us be future ready. Let us be ready to run a very, very efficient business. This anyway is not a very, very high margin business. So your saving is the efficiency what you actually put into the system. So we are ready as a bank to play that important role, but along with FADA, and will like to work closely with you as ever. Thank you very much for a patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Pentel. Ladies and gentlemen, now I'd like all of you to join me in welcoming and inviting our guest of honor, Mr. Ramesh Iyer, Chairman FIDC and Vice Chairman and Managing Director, Mahindra Finance. Can we hear a big round of applause for him?
Should I? Good evening, friends. Thank you to the President and the Vice President of FADA for inviting me to speak on this occasion. And I've been trying to understand from them, what do you want me to speak to people who already know everything? And I'm struggling, and they have not been able to tell me honestly what I should be speaking. So I will kind of try and attempt to speak what I think is likely to be the future. And it's always sometime good to be the last speaker because you don't repeat what something has been told, or just pick up from whatever has been said and develop it further. So life can become easier that way either. But if I have to look at it from a financier's lens of what are we talking of future leadership, dealership, so what comes to my mind is as follows. So let me first begin with what has changed in the last 5 years, last 10 years. And sometimes I wonder, has anything changed at all? Because if you really look at it, when the vehicles are in surplus available at the dealership behavior toward financier is very different. And there is a shortage of vehicle, their behavior is very different. When they have to buy more vehicles from OEM, their behavior is very different. And when they don't want to pay money to the OEM, their behavior is very different. And I want to promise you this will not change for next 25 years. Right? That's my first take on, is anything going to change? Has anything changed? Then I was kind of looking at it, and we talked about digital data, all of that, and which is all true. I mean, nobody can avoid all of this which is happening. But fundamentally ask one question, and my belief, last 25 years, whichever customer has not paid, same type of customer will not pay even next 25 years. So what has all this happened? Have we been able to make a defaulter become a normal good customer? No. Probably we have been able to avoid lending to a defaulting customer. And that's where my take is. I am saying, can we not design a product for someone who we think is likely to default well in advance? I mean, 25 saal pehle we didn't know who will default, right? So we gave it to everybody and we suffered. If today all of us know who is likely to default, should we not create another program for such customers so that we make money out of even defaulting customer? Because you know in advance he is going to default. If that is the truth, then I think everybody is eligible for a credit. That is the future. That's the way I think. I think the third thing that comes to my mind, I think gone are days where we can sell product. Believe in me. We have to sell solutions. People don't want to buy product anymore. They want solution. And why am I saying it? I mean, you ask yourself a question. What is your larger source of revenue? Is it vehicle commission or finance commission? Or is it insurance commission? So I somewhere get a feeling that vehicle is a source of more revenue, non-vehicle revenue. So can you just be a vehicle seller anymore in future? You cannot be. You will have to sell vehicle to generate more revenue in other sources, through other sources. So you have to become solution provider. And that is true for everybody. I was asking myself a question, are we a financier or actually a dealer? And I get a strong sense that we are a dealer, we are no more a financier. Because we say we finance 60,000 vehicle a month, 7 lakh vehicle a year. So are we financiers or actually dealers? You may not accept, but I believe that if finance companies stop financing vehicles, the volumes can come down. And if that is true, then we are dealers, no? We are not financiers. Finance is a means to sell more vehicle maybe. So I think all of us are everything. You're a dealer, you're a financier, you're an insurer, you're a second-hand vehicle dealer, you're everything. And same is true with us as a financier. And this is only going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. Everybody will sell vehicle. I mean, I just wonder why not? Why should the bank not be selling vehicle? If so many customer comes into bank and NBFCs and they say, मेरे को गाड़ी खरीदना, तो हम बोलेंगे ठीक है. So tomorrow we'll come and tell you, I'll give you a vehicle customer, please give me commission. If you can ask me commission for giving a customer, I can ask you commission for giving you a customer, no? What's wrong? And this is going to become tomorrow. If today we have worked with 7 million customers across India, I would say, I will find a way that my 7 million customer, if they want to buy a vehicle in future, I will know it before you know it. And therefore, I will become a dealer of a type. And likewise, all your customers, whosoever wants to buy a vehicle, you will know he wants a finance, and therefore you will direct to us. So the point I'm trying to make is no more it's going to be individual. We should not think we are all competing with each other, I think make your mindset that we have to collaborate with each other. Collaboration is going to be the future. Partnership is going to be the future. I mean, at the same town, if there are two dealers selling same products, don't compete. You will only lose more money. I can take a bet on this. If you collaborate, you will get more volumes, more commission. So please don't compete. Please get into partnership and cooperative approaches and collaborate with each other. And which is where you can find solutions to a customer need, and which is where you can actually control the market in some way. You know, we were hearing for very long that the OEMs were insisting that dealer should be single product dealer and all that. I don't think this will also last for too long. Because real estates are becoming so costly, rents are so high, people cost is so high. How can you have single dealership for single product? It may not be very viable for too long. And therefore, they may allow you to sell any product from your showrooms, but they will expect that you will have a very high degree of discipline. So my next comment would be only those dealers who have very high discipline and respect for process will have a very high chance of survival. Because they will reduce the number of dealers, but they will allow them to sell every product. And this is quite possible. And when I use the word discipline, I would think it starts with financial discipline. If you do not have financial discipline, I'm afraid you may not be able to raise capital, you may not be able to raise loan from the markets. Today, the entire financial market up to now has been working on emotional relationships. Somebody knew me, they call me up on the phone and say, हमको 50 लाख चाहिए, हम लोग भी हिम्मत से दे देता था. Is that going to be tomorrow? Probably not. Because the regulators are not allowing those methods. I can't tell a regulator that I've given 5 crore to a dealer because I know him very well. He says, you may know him, but who is going to assure that you are going to be in the system tomorrow? Because my job is not assured for tomorrow morning. So what is the point in my relationship on the basis of which money can be lent? Gone are those days. I mean, I joined this company 28 years back, but the next person joining may last for only 28 days. Right? So if you're not likely to be continuing in one particular setup for very long, then to say that that individual has taken a decision on the basis of his relationship may no more be recognized and be acceptable. So you have to bring in a very strong financial discipline. You have to have highest order of governance. Your documents will have to speak for your decision. And on top of that, if you have a relationship, you could get something faster and better. But the start point will have to be these three things. And which is what the banks will recognize, which is what the NBFCs will recognize, because we are all being regulated. Today, your industry probably is not a regulated industry. As a dealer, you're not called an industry. It's just matter of time. There will be a category created as dealer as an industry, and you'll suddenly find lot of regulations coming in for you as well. You can't start all of your practices on that day. You will have to make a beginning already today. You have to start believing that you will become an industry, and therefore what should be the regulation that you must have in place. And if you put those processes in place, the chances that you will win are much higher. So therefore, make sure that your governance, your ethical practices, your financial discipline are all there. Your transparency is extremely important. I mean, today what are we communicating to customer? बोले यार कुछ तो समझा के उसको निकालो अभी इधर से. Right? But that's not going to last for very long, because today the broking as a community in between is vanishing. Right? Now Google has become the broker. Right? So everybody Googles and sees and come with a knowledge. And you are going to counter that knowledge. And therefore, transparency becomes extremely important, because when you say something to a customer, he already is aware as to what you're saying is right or wrong. So we have to become extremely transparent. I mean, as a financier, we have to become extremely transparent. I mean, I remember NBFC always works on a flat rate. And we used to believe that customer thinks 7% matlab usko 7% mein paisa mil raha hai. Right? When the 7% flat is converted, it is 12% on a reducing basis. Now that has come into as a regulation. We have to put it in our agreement at what rate are we lending to a customer. Now, if that is the kind of transparency which has come in, what's the choice you have? You have to be extremely transparent. These are the things which are going to happen. I mean, you look at your cost. Cost is not going to come down, whereas the margins are going to continuously shrink. And if the margins are going to continuously shrink, you will have to bring in efficiency. Your productivity will have to be very high. And if your productivity will have to be very high, your people capabilities have to be very high. Their competence has to be very high. You cannot recruit people at low cost from a local market and imagine that he will be highly productive. If process have to be followed, if discipline has to be maintained, if productivity has to be high, then competency has to be very high of individuals. So you have to relook at your people from a very different angle of, do you have people for future? Are they future ready? Are they relevant for tomorrow? Are they competent to handle things for tomorrow? And then only your cost is going to come down. I mean, you look at the quality of the vehicle. The quality of the vehicle is so high that your service income is going to go down. While you were complaining about quality of vehicle in many OEM meetings in the past, but in your heart you were very happy that it was bad quality because it was coming back for service and you were making a lot of income. Today you are complaining, अरे यार इतना अच्छा गाड़ी बना था कोई आता ही नहीं वापस रिपेयर कराने के लिए. You see how things have changed, right? If service income is going to shrink and you have built large dealership, then productivity has to be of a very different order, which means you have to control the customer and the vehicle for much beyond its AMC periods, much beyond its warranty period. You will have to institutionalize the roadside mechanics and you will have to handle them and control them in a manner that it keeps coming back to you at all point of time. Resale price will guide what product they buy. It is not going to go away. And therefore, how transparently are you willing to speak about the resale price? How can you underwrite a residual value is going to become the challenge of tomorrow. I mean, what will you do in an electric vehicle? What will you underwrite as a residual value? Look at the new challenge that will come when an electric vehicle comes. It will be with absolutely no servicing requirement, residual value unestablished, which means your ability to control and handle the customer upfront has to be so very different. Look at the competency that is required. Because today no product is different from any other product. Can anybody say my product is superior to your product? Can anybody say by price my product is cheaper than your product? Price, product, process are all become common. And I personally think therefore people will make all the difference. All the strategic difference will be made by people and by use of technology. Product, process and price will be common for everybody. Those cannot be a differentiator going forward. And if that's not going to be the differentiator, ask yourself a question, how much are you investing in your people? You have to start asking this question, are people your assets or are they your liability? Today we are all looking at them very differently. We say, हम तो इतना ही salary देगा, बाकी आप commission ऊपर से ले लो from financier, from insurance, from anybody else. You must say, no, I will pay you all that you require, but you be mine. How can you handle them? You have to ensure that people become yours. Because I think many of the dealership in future may go for an IPO. Because the capital needs will be very high, consolidation may happen, and you will have to be ready for an IPO. And if you have to be ready for an IPO, you will have to ensure that you have all this story to tell. You cannot just sell one story saying that I'm in dealership business for last 25 years. That's only one line story to start a dialogue. Then on, you will have to narrate a story of what have you done in this 25 years for you to survive another 25 years. And that will what will get you more capital from the market. And which is where your valuation will start begin to happen, and which is where I believe the consolidation will happen. Because tomorrow even financiers, it may not be a loan product at all. It will be leasing. Who wants to own a vehicle in future? We may want to ask a question. People say, I want to use a vehicle, but I don't want to own a vehicle. And if that is true, then how are you getting ready to become a lease financier? You will have to become a partner of a financier to say, okay, I'll maintain the vehicle, I'll buy back the vehicle, I will ensure that the parts are made available for this vehicle, and you provide the loan for this vehicle or the capital for this vehicle. Can we jointly do operating lease of future? And that's where the partnerships will start to come in. And if that is true, then are you getting ready towards that? I think these are the various questions that all of us will have to ask. At least as a financier, that is what we are projecting as the future of dealerships are going to be. We are not willing to believe that the dealerships will be a spot where there will be people sitting, somebody will come to buy a vehicle, and then there will be somebody who will be wanting to finance the vehicle and the transaction is over. I don't think that's going to be the future. I think we will have to know our customers extremely well. We'll have to know them more than we know them today. We will have to be in interaction with the customer. I mean, I hear everybody saying we have to use a lot of data, we have to use digital and all that. And I keep wondering, where is the knowledge has a role to play? Because if somebody gives me tons of data, and if I don't have a knowledge to even understand that data, how am I even going to use the data? So you are the custodian of the knowledge, having run this business for 25 years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever number of years, right? How can you capitalize on the knowledge that you have? How can you use the data that you have over this period of time? How can you bring the knowledge and data together and create a new future? I think that's a question we should all ask. I keep saying I have tons of data and I just don't know what to do, so somebody else takes the data and starts selling him something else. I mean, just imagine that you have thousands of customers and that data is available with you and you don't know how to use that. Somebody says, can you give me your data? I'll give you some commission. And he actually sells off a real estate to him. And he was actually to buy a vehicle, he has shifted his mind to real estate. You have lost a sale. And you lost a sale because you didn't know what does that data mean to you. So how are you going to use that knowledge and data together to be able to create a new future of tomorrow? These are the changes of the model that we forecast is likely to happen and for sure will happen. We all have to understand that future employees and future consumers will always be entrepreneur in their mind. They will ask for innovative solutions. They will ask for very aggressive solutions. They want decisions with speed. They want it for short term. Are we prepared for all of that? I think those are the questions we have to ask, and time will just run away. Time will just run away. So if you look at your cost is going to be under pressure. When I say cost, your margins are going to be under pressure, and therefore your focus has to be on cost. Discipline will be questioned, and only governance and discipline and ethical practices will create that value. Are you ready towards that? Transparency will become the need of tomorrow if you have to survive. Partnerships and collaborative approaches will be required if you have to be a large player. You have to become a large player. Small players, in my opinion, will have no role to play. You have to become a large player. You have to be in multi-geography, maybe multi-product, whatever that you may think of, but you have to become large. Today we are custodian of a geography and we are unwilling to move away from geography because we know the geography well. And which is where will come competent people, more people, different type of people. People-based issues will start cropping up. Are you ready for that? These are the questions we will have to ask. Are our people relevant for tomorrow? Is our process ready for tomorrow? These are the questions which will have to be asked, and those are the questions we are asking, and those are the only dealer where financiers and the bankers will be more than willing to partner and lend money to. And if you believe that capital and debt both will be required for growth of dealership, unless all these traits are reflected, I'm afraid that the financier is not available for everybody. I don't think liquidity will be an issue at all. Who gets that money is going to be an issue. How much will you get will not be an issue. Anybody who is eligible to get will get sufficient funds because liquidity will not be an issue. I don't think cost of funds will be an issue because when the cost of money goes up, it means the economy is likely to do well, which means the customers will be willing to pay the price. I get questioned every time by people saying, oh, 0.5% interest rate is going up, will it have impact on demand? And I keep wondering, on a 10 lakh vehicle, 0.5% interest increase, is that the decision point for somebody to buy a vehicle or not buy a vehicle? Because whenever the vehicle price goes up by 5% or 10%, I don't think the demand falls. Maybe it stabilizes for some time, again it picks up. So I don't think we should worry about will the consumer be able to pick up this cost. If he has a use for the vehicle, either personal or commercial use, I think cost will not be a constraint for somebody to pay for. When we try to sell when he doesn't need a vehicle, everything will count. He will not even be willing to pay all this price. And therefore, my dear friend, I am very, very convinced in my own mind that while many things may change, but some of the good practices of the past may remain constant and they may be required for your future success. So when you are embarking on this change, don't give up on what are the good things that you have done in the past, which you have learned in the past, which you have practiced well in the past. They will continue to remain required in future. And one of the most important thing of the past that you should never give up is your relationship with your consumers. Please do not give up relationship with your consumer just because you have started using data and machine. All this artificial intelligence that we talk of is suddenly the machines have become intelligent and people have become artificial. I think we should come out of this. We should continue to remain very normal that we were. Let the machine do its job very well. Let us also be intelligent as before and use data and digital very sensibly and not for the sake of using it just because everyone's saying it. And therefore, if you build that relationship, continue with your customer, your knowledge will continue to remain very high. And in my personal opinion, that will remain one of the most major differentiator into future. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Iyer. Yes, while technology helps us, we must not forget human connection is of utmost importance. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming. We are joined by our guest of honor, Mr. Ashish Kumar Singh, Additional Chief Secretary, Transport and Ports, Government of Maharashtra. Give him a big hand. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. I'd now request our chairperson FADA Maharashtra, Mr. Amar J. Sheth, to kindly come forward and give us the overview about the Finance and Insurance Summit 2022. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you. Am I audible? I think that is the word that we all are tired of now from the last 2 years. And being here together in front of everyone, meeting and interacting actually physically is something that we were all looking forward to. And I guess we just got the platform to do that, hence we have a full hall here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute pleasure to welcome all of you to the first ever FADA Finance and Insurance Summit. And there is no better place to hold this summit than the financial capital of Mumbai. FADA Maharashtra is proud to host this event. This summit will be held annually, and it aims to be a premier industry event that will bring together the best and brightest minds from banking and insurance. This must-attend industry event provides attendees with the opportunity to learn, network with the who's who of the auto finance and insurance industry. This evening will then dovetail into the FADA Dealer Excellence Awards, which are looked forward to by the entire fraternity. Premon Asia is our partner for this event, and the jury consists of well-known names of the auto industry. Horma Sorabji, Swati Khandelwal, Mr. Dilip Shinoy, Arun Marotra, and of course, Kuwai being a part of the juries. Our participants will walk away today with valuable information on crucial industry topics, as well as form new relationships with leading industry executives from all areas of banking and insurance. We will cover topics such as continued supply chain constraints, high used car values, increasing finance penetration, rising interest rates, increased cost of funds, and the revised MISP guidelines, and much more. The objective of this summit is to bring together industry leaders at one platform to explore future trends and deliberate how vehicle finance and insurance business can be reshaped during these challenging times. With the aim to revive auto sales, easier and affordable access to finance and insurance may act as a stimulus for customers to consider the vehicle purchase. We are all aware of the supply constraints of all types of vehicles, and we must maximize on these opportunities presented to us. This program involves participation from various stakeholders such as bankers, NBFCs, insurance companies, broking companies, automobile OEMs, economists, analysts, and people from the bureaucracy. Then A-list speaker faculty, the Insurance and Finance Summit provides attendees with the necessary insights and strategies to maneuver in the year ahead. I thank all my dealer colleagues for attending this event. We of course have participation from Mumbai, but also in this room are dealers who have come from Pune, Nasik, Aurangabad, Satara, Kolhapur, Nagpur, Yavatmal, Bid, and many such places across the state. There are of course many traveling from across the country too. We at FADA Maharashtra have been busy in the last 2 years and would like to specially mention our huge gratitude to our guest of honor, Shri Ashish Kumar Singh. He's the Additional Chief Secretary for Transport and Ports at the Government of Maharashtra. His support in guiding and navigating us throughout the last 2 years has been immense, especially in the BS4 issue, where in spite of the lockdown at its full peak, due to his support, the digital processes were implemented, and most of us in this room are today breathing a lot more easily. Ashish Ji's support also ensured that the dealer end registration was quickly implemented and has been working smoothly ever since. I have had the fortune to work closely with him on this topic and can comment for his personal push to make this happen. Thank you very much, Ashish Ji. We all are truly obliged for it. This is not only ensuring delight for the customers, but to us, the dealer fraternity as well. As we heard our guests of honor in our opening inaugural session, I think we had wise words from all of them. Mr. Ramesh Iyer, the Chairman FIDC and MD Mahindra Finance, Mr. Suresh Agarwal, who is not here today, he had to drop out last minute. Mr. Rajan Painter, the Senior Group President and Global Head, Retail Banking at Yes Bank. B. Ganesh Kumar, the Founder and CEO of Kuwai Finance. As you all can see, our tagline of this is One Nation, One Association, and is well represented at the support of each one of you is truly appreciated. The auto industry has an eventful last few years, and we believe FADA has stood like a rock to support and navigate through the situations that were presented to us. We still have miles to go to achieve what we aspire, and look forward to your continuous support to reach there. I would like to end by saying the strength of the wolf is the pack, and the strength of the pack is the wolf. So we look forward to each one of you who's present here, playing a very important part in nurturing and growing our association together. Thank you once again for being present here and lending support to this event. We look forward to making this an annual event and growing this by leaps and bounds as each passing year. Thank you very much once again. I would now like to invite Shri Ashish Kumar Ji to say a few words to the present audience. Thank you.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I want to thank Mr. Seth, the chairperson of the Maharashtra chapter of FADA, and Mr. Manish Raj Singhania, the vice president of FADA, for having invited me here today this evening. And I want to apologize to all of you for having come late. It's just that one of my meetings, which I had with the chief minister, got a little delayed, and by the time I could leave, it was already 3:30. So I requested Mr. Sheth to start the program, hoping that I will be able to make it till before it ends, and perhaps I managed to do it. Mr. Iyer was talking about the future, and in fact, I have also been thinking about what would be the future of mobility. Before I came here, I was not so sure as to what is it that I'm supposed to speak about, because I have never bought a car in my life. Fortunately, I got into the service very early, and since then I have only used a government car and never had a car, and so I never had a relationship with a dealer either. Till I joined the transport department and found that most of the buyers have lots of challenges with the transport department, and most of the dealers also have a lot of challenges with the transport department. But looking at the future of mobility itself, how people will move in the years to come, I think that dealerships are going to undergo a significant transformation, whether we like it or not. It's actually the future of work which is going to see a significant transition and transformation. Most brokerages in the world, when I started my career, I was the managing director of tourism in Kerala, and then I was also managing director of tourism in Maharashtra. And travel agents and tour operators were a big deal. Airlines used to have big events like this, and travel agents and tour operators used to be hosted by hotels. And in fact, the best event of the year for the travel tourism industry was the event of the Travel Agents Association of India and the Indian Association of Tour Operators. Most of us sitting here today hardly ever book a ticket through a travel agent unless you have some personal relationship with somebody. and very few of us book many hotels with them. And they have undergone a major transformation. In fact, only those of them have survived today who have had, as Mr. Iyer was saying, a very personal relationship with their customer. But most of the new gen customers, my son doesn't even know a travel agent. I don't think he books anything through an agent other than doing it online. So that's what's, I believe, going to be the future of most people who are intermediaries in most businesses. However, the future of mobility itself, to me, is undergoing a major transformation. 100 years ago or 125 years ago, which looks a little too far away, but it was only in your and my grandparents' time, that people in London were more bothered about how to deal with the horse shit which was getting collected on the streets of London. And they thought that this would be one of the biggest challenges to deal with. And then came the automobile, and we all know that we have dealers sitting all around here in suits and jackets, hardly ever wondering as to what to do with horse shit on the streets of any of the cities in the world. So in this case, I believe that the transformation is quite visible to some extent already. We have companies like the Ola and the Uber, which supply services on demand. We also have a lot of electric vehicles which are coming in. Norway is almost 55% electric already. Most of Europe would become electric by 2030. Almost all countries have committed that by 2030 they will stop registering IC vehicles in those countries. Most of these vehicles would also be connected through some app or the other. And most importantly, why do we actually buy vehicles? Because we believe that there could be an emergency when I may not have access to anyone. We don't want to buy a vehicle just because we want to park it for 22 to 23 hours in a day in some very expensive real estate and say that, look, I have this huge capital investment lying dead in my parking lot, which is in Nariman Point or which is in Churchgate or which is in Nepean Sea Road, and doing nothing most of the time because, you know, I get a kick out of it. No, most of us will not do it if we are assured that a vehicle is available on demand at the point at which we want it, at the time at which we want it. And that's already happening. And the last part of the riddle is the coming in of autonomous vehicles. Now, till I actually sat in one, I thought that it was very far away. But honestly, it was 5 years ago that I actually sat in an autonomous vehicle in the US, and it drove itself better than what I could do myself. And the dealer who had actually allowed me to do the test ride on a Tesla told me that you can't drive it on the auto mode in the city limits because the regulation doesn't allow it, but you can drive it on the highway. Actually, had it been in India, they would have said the other way around. But I actually drove it on the auto mode in the city itself, although I was sitting on the driver's seat. So once these autonomous vehicles come in, the basic challenge that we have today of the driver getting tired, the driver not being available, and hence you and I owning vehicles would also be gone. And the number of vehicles required to move people would be significantly less, because most of us sitting in this room would agree that we hardly use this very high capital intensive asset for more than, say, 10% of the time in a day or in a month. When you drive from here to some place, you park it in a parking lot, then you drive back, you again park it in a parking lot. So if you actually calculate the time for which this very, very expensive capital asset is being used, it is very, very small for the course of the day. And not just that, you're parking it in one of the most expensive places in the world. I mean, Mumbai particularly has some extremely, and each inch of land could produce a lot more income if it was not being used as a parking lot. So my personal belief is that once all these aspects of the puzzle get together, the need for ownership of vehicles would significantly decline. Because once cars are autonomous, you can call them 24/7. They are not going to get tired because there is no driver in it. Since they are electric, they can be charged without actually anyone filling some petrol into it. Because you can, as you see, most of our phones get charged almost remotely. I mean, you put it on something and it gets charged. That's already happened. These vehicles also, many of them have actually already started charging what I would say remotely, but when I say remotely, it doesn't mean that the charger is very far away. They just kind of go and park somewhere and they get charged. You don't have to plug anything into the vehicle anymore. And once they are autonomous, they are electric, they are shared, and they are connected, most of us will actually not need to own vehicles. So my feeling is that while many of you might have been bequeathed the dealership business here, many of you may not be able to bequeath this dealership business to your grandchildren, maybe to your children too. And if you don't reinvent yourself, I mean, it's for you as well as my children, because I'm at the end of my career now, it's going to be a very challenging task for people to kind of find out as to what they would do in this world. Mr. Iyer just said that, you have a lot of data, and if you don't know how to deal with it, then, somebody is going to use it some different way. That's another aspect of what's going to happen. People who can do deep work, as is being reported across the world, only they will have enough work to do. Because most others will really not need to do so much work, and therefore they will have a lot more challenges. You'll have a lot more challenge to sell a car because the OEM will start selling it directly. They wouldn't need a dealer. Because Mr. Iyer would also ensure that I'll be able to get finance remotely. I will be already, I went to a bank in Japan, the Shinsei Bank, which was earlier the LTCM. Some of you who are in the banking insurance business would know that this was one of those big things which busted and actually created a huge turmoil in the financial markets in the 1970s, very late 1970s, 78 if I'm not mistaken. That bank is now operated remotely from Pune. It's based in Tokyo in Japan. Its backend is in Pune. When you enter the branch of the bank, there is absolutely no human being there. There are only some machines. You go and put your papers there. It scans it and loads it up. You just have to dump it in some place. They tell you, you have to go and look at a terminal. They tell you what are the documents that they require. You go produce that document, they scan it. You can take your document back. They upload it. With the scan is uploaded, and then depending on what is it that you want and at what level the loan needs to be approved, the thing just moves on from one computer to the other, and someone behind the computer remotely located takes a call that yes, this is a decision which can be taken, and the decision is taken more or less within 24 hours. This question of verifying documents and all that is going to significantly reduce as more and more things become digitized and become available in a certified manner. Already DigiLocker provided by the government of India allows you to show your driving license on the telephone. So if a driving license, which is one of the most significant documents in for many proofs, proof of residence, proof of nationality, proof of date of birth, if that can be shown on the DigiLocker, then you can imagine how so many more documents which are equally important could also be looked at from the DigiLocker, and that is what will allow Mr. Iyer to give me a loan. And if that is what will allow him to give me a loan, the relationship which he wants to build with me will not happen. And if that is not happening, he cannot become a dealer either. Because while I may be a customer, he really doesn't know me. He'll have to really do a lot of data mining to understand what kind of a customer I am. And that is where the future of work is going to be so much more different. And when the future of work is going to be so much more different, your and my work is also definitely going to undergo a change. Now, when these autonomous vehicles comes in, then what is the challenge that we have in the transport department? The major challenge of regulating these vehicles will happen once they actually start happening. And if we don't start thinking about it today, then the regulation will be a little behind, and technology will therefore miss out. I mean, India will miss out on the technology revolution that is happening across the world. One of the things I would like to reiterate here is that Ola, Uber have already reduced the number of Kali Pilis that you would have sold earlier. There was a grand challenge which Government of India did for buses, for public transportation, just about a month ago through CESL. And it was only OEMs who applied for it. And what does the grand challenge say? It says that I want to buy mobility service as a state transport undertaking. And what is the price at which you will give this bus fully loaded with a conductor and a driver? Can I take a couple of more minutes? I'm sorry, I think I'm overshooting my time, but I'll just finish off in 2 minutes. So this bus is now available to us at 44 rupees a kilometer, which is 7 rupees less than what we operate today as MSRTC. And this is an electric bus which is air conditioned, and we operate buses which are non-air conditioned and are not even electric. So you can just see that this is not something very far away, way down the corridor. It's actually right in front of us, and we need to kind of start rethinking as to what should be the future of intermediation in the business of transportation. And we need to perhaps rethink as to what should be the future of regulation, because an autonomous vehicle has a few challenges. In a vehicle driven by a driver, the responsibility of an accident lies on a driver. But in a vehicle which is not driven by a driver, where I am sitting in the back seat and the vehicle is driving itself, it has an algorithm which is going to decide what it will do if two children run on the street. The algorithm is that either it will knock off the children or it is going to whirl around and knock me off, who's sitting behind absolutely unaware of what the vehicle is going to do. And insurance, therefore, will also have to take these algorithms in mind. And as I said, these are not things of the future. Tesla already allows you to own an autonomous vehicle, and the state of California allows you to drive on the autonomous mode on the highways. So it's not something which is 10 years down the line, it's happening already. And that's why we need to, as regulators, start thinking as to what kind of regulation we need to bring in place. However, in the very short term, I can tell you that many things which Mr. Iyer has said are still going to be true. Many things that we are doing today to improve our services in terms of regulating with a lighter hand are still going to be true. Many things which customers expect from us, at least in the next couple of years, are still going to be as true as they were before, which means better service, which means regulation which is very clean and clear and transparent. And many things which you want from the OEMs and the financiers are still going to be true for the next couple of years. However, if we are really looking way down the horizon, we all need to change. The only certainty is the uncertainty that we face. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, sir. With that, we come to the concluding part of our inaugural session. And to present his vote of thanks, I'd like to welcome Mr. Manish Raj Singhania, Vice President, FADA, to please come forward.
So, good evening, everyone. A fabulous start for this, our FADA's first finance and insurance meet, and a wonderful people on dais. We heard Mr. Ashish Kumar Singh talking about future of mobility, and yes, Ola and Uber before the COVID time were a serious threat to auto dealers, and we had been regularly talking about their presence and how it is affecting the auto dealership and sales volume. And you also gave us very interesting sights about future of auto industry. That's also very much there, and we already see it happening, how and when it comes to India. That is what we need to see. And thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your, though late, but you came down and you are amongst us and you have helped the dealer community of Maharashtra quite a lot. Thank you once again for that. And I also thank Mr. Ramesh Iyer. He talked about, to sell solutions to customers, collaborate with each other, and importance of transparency and capability buildings at the dealerships. He also talked about to invest in people, in our staff, and also build relationship with customers. Obviously, digitalization is a part, but it's only a part, and relationship with customer is finally what it counts. And Mr. Iyer really throws a very good insight to the working of the dealerships and how we should move forward in our business. And that really helps. As Mahindra dealers, I can vouch for it. That really helps whatever he says and whatever he tries to convey, we always try and implement those things at the dealership. And it's really a great help to the dealership community. Thank you once again, sir. And thank you, Mr. Rajan Pintal. He has left for a urgent meeting for dwelling on past, he talked about the past situation of auto industry. Yes, that was a very true situation where the inventory levels had skyrocketed, and we were talking about 45 days paid up and 60 days paid up. We were in regular talk with all the bankers and financiers as an association how to get in to reduce the inventory levels. Though we are lucky now, we are in a good position. The supply is good for passenger car industry, and inventories are like we are demanding for vehicles. That's good, but two-wheeler already we can see a bit of stress there. Already in some places 30 days or 40 days speed up stock has already reached. So that's a point that both bankers and automobile industry need to drive to the OEMs repeatedly that adequate stock should be at the dealership and nothing more. He also talked about importance of healthy balance sheets and his interest in our FADS Gen X programs was really hot, welcoming. And Yes Bank has been with FADA for quite some time, and they always support any new initiative, and we are always thankful to them. Thank you once again, sir. And in the last, Mr. B. Ganesh Kumar, CEO and founder of KUI, he talked about role of digitization at the dealership and growing new car and used car business together through digital modes. That's also a very interesting concept, and it will certainly fast track business at the dealership. There is no doubt about it. Thank you once again. Thank you all the eminent dignitaries on the stage for participating in this FADA's first finance and insurance meet. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And with that, we conclude our inaugural session, but we can't go ahead without felicitating our dignitaries on the dais. I'd request Mr. Vinkesh Gulati to please felicitate Mr. Ashish Kumar Singh for his valuable time and sharing the insights here with us. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. I now request Mr. Amar J. Sheth to felicitate Mr. Ramesh Iyer. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. I'd now like to invite Mr. C.S. Vigneshwar to felicitate Mr. Ranjan Pentel. Please join us, sir. Thank you so much for joining. I'd like to request Mr. Sai Giridhar to felicitate Mr. Ganesh Kumar. May I request all our dignitaries to please step forward in front of the table for a group photograph. May I request Mr. Vigneshwar to join us on the dais, please. Thank you so much once again, gentlemen. Thank you.